Does being accused of a crime really pay? Sean Paul Long Island Audit Reyes has made $22,546 since Friday after being arrested in Connecticut. Will you throw in money to fund his lavish lifestyle and legal defense? Chili DeCastro rants about only making $3,000 a month from YouTube. Encourages fans to go overboard in Super Chats to make up for the money that YouTube isn't giving him. Offers no updates to his board game despite still taking pre-orders. Lloyd Wallace puts the brakes on plans to talk about his pending fatherhood. Says the matter is now private despite spilling the beans on Saturday. Says Kenya is no longer part of his future but wants to leave for Colombia soon if you give him $265 for the trip. Plus, Chili DeCastro has a case of the Mondays. Website domain goes down as he cancels live stream after not feeling well? Say it isn't so, Jose. Manages to file a joint order with the LVMPD on time, so that's something. I'm your humble newsreader, Pence, and I promise you can register my domain anytime you like. Virtual love is the best love, as there's no messy baby making, Tiger. Click on me now as I take you to the place where we can share the wonders of auditing insanity. In staggering proof that being accused of crimes does pay, Sean Paul Long Island Audits Reyes pulled in $18,766 on his new Stand With Me to Hold Brian Fahey Accountable GoFundMe account to win Monday's crowdsourcing title. The amazing total comes a day after Reyes released the edited footage from his Friday arrest at the home of Connecticut State Trooper Brian Fahey. While previously implying that the video he intended to release on Sunday would be unedited, Reyes's video included several jump cuts and mixed footage between his own cell phone and the cell phone held by his cameraman. The footage also eliminated an extended segment where Reyes was examined by an ambulance crew following the incident, where he claims State Trooper Brian Fahey spat in his face. Reyes's footage begins with Reyes arriving in the cul-de-sac leading to a road that was marked private. Reyes addressed the camera while standing in front of his billboard, which displayed a looping video of his previous encounters with Fahey. As he made his way down the private road to Fahey's house, Reyes said there were no obvious no trespassing signs. This is despite long-standing rulings that private roads, when marked as private roads, also imply that the road is not for public use, and that unauthorized use of the road is trespassing. Reyes eventually reached Fahey's house and knocked on the door. Fahey responded by screaming to get off his property. As Reyes continued to scream questions in Fahey's direction while walking backwards down the road, when Fahey came out of the house with a phone in one hand and a service revolver in the other. Fahey said that Reyes had threatened his life online and that he needed to leave. Reyes denied the accusations but continued to ask questions of Fahey. At one point, Fahey appeared to spit directly in Reyes's face. As the two men reached the end of the private road, Reyes was greeted by a single responding officer from the Groton, Connecticut police force. That would soon grow to 7 officers and 6 observed police cars. Reyes demanded that the officers arrest Fahey for assault for spitting on him. Contrary to previous reporting, the police then confirmed that there was not an active protective or restraining order against Reyes before proceeding further. The rest of the incident played out roughly the same as the account given by Reyes in his Saturday night live stream. He informed officers of past incidents between him and Fahey, as displayed on the video playing on his billboard truck, and was ultimately arrested after demanding someone be arrested at the scene. Reyes added a recorded segment from his studio where he explained that State Trooper Fahey was granted an emergency protection order while Reyes was being held in jail. The protective order prevents Reyes from having any contact with Fahey or Connecticut State Troopers. The YouTuber is currently facing charges of voyeurism, criminal trespass, and breach of the peace, and has vowed to file a second federal civil rights lawsuit against Fahey, and promised to include the Groton, Connecticut Police Department as accomplices. Reyes's staggering crowdsourcing take sets a one-day record for First Amendment auditing-related crowdsourcing campaigns since we began to follow them in May of 2024. It also brings Reyes's total for the weekend to $18,877 as of press time. Even without the new GoFundMe pulling in a record-setting amount, Reyes would still have won the day, as his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption fund pulled in $1,027 in new donations to take second place for the day. No other campaigns received donations in Monday's tallies. Viewers of YouTube sensation Jose Chili DeCastro were in for a rare treat on Sunday as he displayed his usual mix of misogynistic outbursts, pent-up aggression towards police dogs, and complaints about the YouTube platform itself. DeCastro started his live stream by reviewing a video of Florida's Congressperson Debbie Wasserman Schultz reviewing the new Alligator Alcatraz facility that DeCastro said was located in her home district in Florida. As the congressperson described the harsh conditions that inmates of the facilities were experiencing, DeCastro became visibly agitated with Wasserman Schultz and began screaming at the video. The diminutive YouTuber's face became purple as he continued to scream at the congressperson's description of the conditions, as he claimed that the conditions were no different than any other prison or jail currently housing inmates in America. DeCastro accused Wasserman Schultz as being a pawn of former New York Senator Hillary Clinton, while simultaneously being owned by Geo Group and Core Civic, the two most prominent companies involved in the private prison industry. Calling the congressperson a slut bag and a fraud, DeCastro began to scream at the video as she shared a complaint about portion size between what inmates at the facility receive and what prison workers receive from the meals provided by the facility. This led to an extended rant where DeCastro indicated that the food he received from the Clark County Detention Center in Nevada was marked as unfit for human consumption. Continuing his story, he said that he only survived on commissary purchases funded by his viewers while he was incarcerated last year. DeCastro briefly covered a brawl between Chicago police and bystanders at a train station. The altercation was apparently set off by a dog that attacked a bystander randomly while under the control of a K-9 officer. The YouTuber admitted that he was quietly rooting for the group attacking police officers on the video and wished they would have swarmed the officers. He also expressed that he would have personally killed the police dog had he been on the scene and the dog was attacking bystanders. DeCastro would later scream at the image of a female police officer during another video taken by a Mesa, Arizona police station. He screamed that the female officer was a bitch and worried aloud about roaming bands of ICE agents in the state of California. Admitting that his stream was probably demonetized, he encouraged his fans to contribute to his monthly earnings through the use of YouTube Super Chat donations. He said that his monthly earnings from YouTube were now in the $3,000 range and he needed more Super Chat donations to cover expenses for next month. DeCastro's vertical stream peaked at 2,462 concurrent viewers and took in $210 in Super Chat donations. It has been viewed 195,000 times as of press time. Live streaming for a second straight day on Sunday, Floyd Wallace reversed course and announced that his pending fatherhood was now a private matter and that he was no longer planning to stay in Colombia for the rest of the year. When questioned about his previous demand for a DNA test, Wallace said that there was a lot of time before the baby was born, and then shut down further inquiries about the birth of his apparent first child. He then announced that he was planning on leaving the country for Colombia on August 5th, 2025, with the intention of staying for 2 weeks. He did indicate that he could then file to extend his visa for another 6 months, contradicting his statements from the day before, which indicated that he was planning on staying for the rest of the year. Wallace's second live event in months brought in a good segment of trolls who hit him with questions about previous loans he had taken out on a promised 200% return, why he was fleeing the country when his first child was about to be born, and his lack of a job. The YouTuber admitted that he briefly worked a job after his move to Nebraska, but was fired as he could not adapt to the environment. He said that he did save some money from his earnings before he was fired, however, did not indicate if any of that money would go to supporting his first child if the DNA results showed he was the father. Wallace said he was struggling with mental health issues, and at one point said that he was so tired that he was hallucinating at the moment from lack of sleep. He also complained about issues with his GRD, stating that he had changed his diet significantly and had been toying with vegan meals and had eliminated soda and reduced his fast food intake. Unprompted, Wallace again announced he was free of any sexually transmitted diseases, and that he would be wearing a condom the next time he had sex. Stating safe sex is the best sex, Wallace would go on to complain about engaging in intercourse with American women. He essentially said that American women were boring and laid on their backs because they did not want to do anything with him. Still, on the subject of his sex life, he claimed that a lesbian married couple from Colombia is attempting to recruit him for group activities. The pair offered to show him around the country and promised to feed him. Wallace was hesitant to take up their offer, as they demanded his participation in photographs and videos of any intimate activity with the women. The YouTuber has set a $265 fundraising goal for his Colombia trip. However, he said he was not going to actively promote the goal, despite charging a base $2 super chat to answer questions from his audience. Finally, he disavowed his previous interest in visiting Kenya, claiming that he was no longer into going to the country, but if someone donated $5,000 towards the goal, he would be forced to go. Wallace did not live stream on Monday, but is expected to go live again later this week. Sean Paul Long Island audit Reyes's dominance of the crowdsourcing market continued in Tuesday's tallies, as he managed to bring in another $4,604 across 3 GoFundMe campaigns, and putting to shame others in the field who have previously bragged about their fundraising prowess. His Stand With Me to Hold Brian Fahey Accountable fundraising effort brought in $3,669 in new donations for the day, followed by his Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together fund, which took in $1,000. Our own ongoing expenses campaign took in $120, and Reyes's Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign rounded out the day with a $35 take. In mid-month tallies, Reyes dominates with his Hold Brian Fahey Accountable fund, taking in $22,546 and the top spot for the month. Reyes's Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign is in second place with a $1,408 total for the month. His Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together fund comes in with a third-place finish at mid-month with a $1,000 total. Our own ongoing expenses fund is in fourth place with a $230 take. Lane Myers' Legal Defense Fund comes in with a fifth-place finish and a $105 total. Finally, the recently concluded Help Bow Secure Legal Representation Fund finishes out the pack with a $10 total for the mid-month. Updating our yearly tallies, the yearly top 10 has been upended with Reyes's stunning tally since Friday. In 10th position, Jose Chili DeCastro's run Craig's Freedom Depends on Your Help has not seen a donation for July, but stands at a $285 total out of a $15,000 goal. The closed Help Shannon Attend Kaiser's Sentencing Fund is in 9th place, with a $350 total out of a $1,000 goal. Sean Paul Reyes's Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together has brought in $1,000 for the year out of a $10,000 goal for 8th place. Jose Chili DeCastro's Time to Sue the Corrupt Unprincipled Judge Ann Zimmerman Fund is next, with a $1,580 take for the year out of a $5,000 goal. Craig Hendry's To Support Craig's Work Fund is in 6th place and has a tally of $1,949 out of a $4,000 goal. and an overall total of $7,230. Sean Paul Reyes comes in 5th place with his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund, which has brought in $3,779 for the year out of a $55,000 goal and current overall tally of $56,062. Our own ongoing expenses campaign has brought in $5,185 for the year out of a $20,000 goal. Lane Myers' Legal Defense Fund is the only Give, Send, Go account on the list and has taken in $6,353 for the year out of a $30,000 goal. Clash with Mao gives up the top spot as his now closed campaign brought in $6,790 out of a $6,500 goal. Finally, Reyes has taken the top spot with $22,546 out of a $28,000 goal. Campaigns falling out of the yearly top 10 include YouTube personalities Denver Metro Audits, Liberty Troll, and BZ Watchdog. We will revisit this list at the end of the month. Oh, joy. Those following Jose Chili de Castro's recent personal struggles were again concerned on Monday, as the YouTuber briefly went live Monday evening before reports indicated that he said he wasn't feeling well and ended the live stream before setting the live stream to private. More concern was expressed as his DeleteLaws.com website apparently went down Monday night, as it is displaying a message that reads, "This domain has expired. If you're the owner, click here to renew it." While De Castro is not currently at risk of losing the domain and has not appeared for sale on domain registrars, it is unclear why De Castro would take such a risk with a source of income now that he says YouTube has greatly reduced his ability to profit from its platform. The diminutive YouTuber otherwise had what some were describing as a pretty decent Monday. In De Castro's ongoing battle with Kate Peter in California's Superior Court, the trial-setting hearing for Monday was vacated, as Kate Peter or her legal representative did not show up to court. It was noted that De Castro had a default issued against Peter for failing to answer his summons, but no steps were taken to turn the default into a default judgment. The trial-setting hearing was then vacated. The judge set the next hearing date for September 17th, 2025, 6 days after De Castro's 51st birthday, for a hearing described as an order to show cause regarding entry of judgment pursuant to the motion for terminating sanctions on July 3rd, 25. This is apparently in reference to Judge H.J. Ford III's decision to grant Michael Blue Bacon Peratini's request for terminating sanctions, and to dismiss him as a defendant with prejudice from the same case. De Castro had previously voluntarily released defendants Team Skeptic and Daniel Clement from the lawsuit without prejudice. Monday also saw De Castro's attorney, Michael Mee, successfully file a joint motion with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department to meet a deadline in the first of his 2 ongoing lawsuits surrounding his March 2024 arrest. Mee had previously failed to lead the development of the joint proposed pretrial order in a previous deadline for the document. The separate pretrial orders were rejected by Judge Andrew Gordon, who issued the following order. The parties shall confer as required in Local Rule 16-3 DeCastro's attorney must take the lead in preparing the proposed joint pretrial order, and the parties must submit a joint pretrial order that complies with Local Rules 16-3 and 16-4 by July 14th, 2025. Proposed joint pretrial order due by July 14th, 2025. Signed by Chief Judge Andrew P. Gordon on June 24, 2025. It's unclear what role, if any, DeCastro played in the filing that essentially includes a list of contested and uncontested facts about the incident leading to the arrest, a list of evidence both sides want to use at trial, and objections to said evidence. The following claims or issues remain to be determined at trial. 1. State law false arrest and unlawful search and seizure. 2. State law invasion of privacy. 3. 42 U.S.C. 1983 excessive force and state law excessive force and battery. 4. 42 U.S.C. 1983 failure to intervene. 5. 42 U.S.C. 1983 First Amendment and Nevada state law free speech violation. 6. 42 U.S.C. 1983 First Amendment retaliation. 7. 42 U.S.C. 1983 selective enforcement. Both sides have agreed to possible trial dates in January, February, or March of 2026. Other than the week of February 16th. The trial is expected to last 5 days. Special thanks to PDocs for providing the LVMPD document. We need your help. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, feeding the cats, defending ourselves from lawsuit threats, and writing news stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, you can do so via a donation to our PayPal, Cash App, or GoFundMe accounts. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch our videos from beginning to end, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.